to Generation Orange. This is not the podcast that I necessarily thought we were going to be filming today, but the final coming out of Denver by the hair of our chinny chin chins is 33-32 Broncos. What a remarkable game. What a crazy game. Man, it's been a long time since we've seen football like this, huh?
Wow. I got to say, kiddo, I'm not getting any younger. I really don't know how many more games like this I've got left in me. Wow. You know, but hey, 5-2, first place. I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
So
Right
much to
now,
talk about.
it's just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna bask in
what?
this win for sure because it was
Yes.
really crazy, and I totally, coming into that fourth quarter was absolutely prepared to have a completely different conversation today, and so I'm really grateful that we're not doing that because man, it was ugly and it was abysmal, and we're gonna talk about that. But first, I feel like at least the elephant in the room just situationally this game and why it was so important. Not just because you want to win the game and because Cam and Jackson Dart have been on a kind of a cool win streak. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the Giants, and it doesn't even really have anything to do with the record. For me, today was all about Demaryius Thomas, and I know it was about Demaryius Thomas for so many Broncos and all of Broncos country, and the anger that I experienced basically up until halfway through the fourth quarter was all centered around, man, I just don't want this to happen on the day that Demaryius Thomas is being inducted into the Ring of Fame. So just want to take a brief moment to commemorate his memory. He is such a legendary Bronco, and he touched so many lives, including, of course, my dad and mine. So thank you, DT, for your incredible legacy. And I hope that today, despite
Yeah.
3 quarters of abysmal football, that the fourth quarter Broncos, played some good football in your legacy. And honestly, the feeling that I got from today's game in that fourth quarter is really only reflective of, in my opinion, one other Broncos memory that I have, which I know so many other Broncos fans cherish, is the first second of overtime game in the wild card game against the Steelers with an incredible touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas. That's the kind of excitement that mirrors what I feel like
Yeah.
we felt today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, kiddo. Gosh, Demarius, I was watching, that play where when we beat the Patriots that year. I know you remember this play. It was in the regular season as a snowy game against the Patriots, and CJ
Yes.
Anderson has that big run for a touchdown.
Yes.
I never noticed this before. DT has a perfect block on it and just seals the edge.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I was just like, wow. That guy, and everybody, there's been so many testimonials this last week about how great he was in the community, and all, and I know if you remember the last couple of seasons, even that Super Bowl 50 season, he was a little bit hobbled and a little bit
Mm-hmm.
slow, and but a lot has come out, and I think we knew he was playing through injuries, but it was a lot more than we even could imagine from
Mm-hmm.
what everybody's saying, and so yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. It was just so saddening that the Broncos were performing so badly and getting beaten so badly on that day with all that alumni there. And
Right.
then it almost seemed like, and I know we agree that we didn't love that fourth down attempt at the goal line, and it didn't work out, right? But it almost seemed like they're kind of forced a touchdown to Sutton,
Right.
maybe in retrospect, as an honor to DT. I don't know. That doesn't matter. But yeah, no. Big day.
Yeah. And a big day
I
for
was
Sutton
another
too, who
thing I
was a
was.
good friend of his.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And another thing I was thinking. Remember, we were thinking about going to this game.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, maybe we should have. Did you see like the first 10,000 people got a chain with a big 50? It looked pretty cool.
That
Oh
is
yeah,
cool.
it's really nice. It was really nice free merch. And all those alumni were there, and we could have. But anyway, whatever. We didn't go, and we still got to enjoy the roller coaster which was this game.
Right, roller coaster. I don't know if it was
Wow.
quite much of a roller coaster. It may be one of those roller coasters that takes you all the way up very slowly and then just drops you at the very end.
Well,
I, I
but then at the end, because it
oh
was
yeah,
it
sure.
was back and
That's
forth.
back and
Yeah,
forth, and yeah, okay.
I should rephrase the roller coaster, which was the fourth
Fourth
quarter of this
quarter,
game.
right? It's the fourth quarter Mile
Yes,
High
because it was pretty much
Mania.
a free fall.
Yes.
Fourth quarter Mile High Mania. One thing that stands out, that was a horrible call on Riley Moss toward the end of the
Do you
game that
think
gave him the
so?
set up the first goal.
Okay.
I do. I thought that
All
was
right.
immaculate coverage, and there was almost no contact. There was no reason for that flag, and Sean should know better than to run out there and
Yeah,
jaw
that's
with them.
such a Sean
But
Payton thing to do. I wasn't even
it is.
surprised though.
But and I wasn't even annoyed with it because it was such a BS flag, and yeah, I only saw it on the one replay, but if you see it again, I mean it's outstanding coverage, and he's just doing his job. So to throw a flag like that in a situation like that, that's very likely going to decide the game, I thought was bad ref officiating. And another point I want to make, and this is just kind of, there's a lot we got to talk about this game, but the game is at such a crazy level at this point. When they were reviewing the Jackson Dart touchdown, I'm literally actually rooting for them to rule it a touchdown.
Yep.
Because I think that gives us, because I just figured we still have enough time
Right.
to kick a field goal.
Right.
And if not, then they're gonna run 10 seconds off the clock or whatever, and they're gonna probably pound it.
Yes.
There's more chance of us getting that field goal than us stopping it. As great as our defense
Absolutely.
is, you know what I mean? It's crazy, but that's what we're resorted to at this point.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna. And to be honest, I didn't get as good of a look on the Riley Moss pass interference. I did see the replay just once, and then obviously, I mean, they had to do the next play, so we didn't get to linger on it.
Right.
It looked like to me it wasn't the worst call I'd ever seen. It seemed like he might have had maybe a little soft arm bar on him, and I think we just know at this point, especially with Riley Moss, that they're hounding him. You know what I mean? And so I agree with you. It might have been good D, but Riley Moss, he's got to be careful to just make sure there's absolutely no contact there. I'm with you. I trust him. I think
absolutely.
If there's one call that I actually think was really awful, but kind of got looked over because the pace of the game was, I think it was 3rd and 19 for the Giants, and they call. First of all, they say that they converted the first down, and I actually disagree.
They didn't.
It looked very short.
They were about
to me.
a half yard short.
And
Yes.
the line judge totally spotted the ball correctly at first. He spotted it about a yard short. But then they call a personal foul for roughing the passer.
Yeah.
And as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned,
it was,
it was ridiculous. Like, I thought you got 2 steps, or like a 2-step rule, basically.
Well,
and it seemed to me like a totally reasonable hit. I could be totally wrong about that, but regardless, you got to beat them both.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that one. I thought we'd stopped them just short. As far as the roughing the passer, I didn't think it, I mean, I've seen worse calls, as far, but it was one they didn't need to flag. He was not, it was, he was continuation. It was kind of continuation, and he didn't, land on them. And,
right.
But at the same time, I mean, like you said, that's just how they are these days. And you do have to just beat the refs, especially in terms of protecting the quarterback. Before I forget, I do want to shout out to Jackson Dart, because I think the Giants fans should be very excited about this kid. I mean, literally, and granted, the Broncos offense didn't put any pressure on him, right?
Right.
But he did have to deal with Vance Joseph's defense, and really, Vance didn't get the best of him until that Stranad interception. Finally,
that's true.
Finally and even then, the kid, I would be real excited if I was a Giants fan. Just really good quarterbacking today. Didn't make eventually he did make a mistake, but hey, he's a rookie.
Right.
It's anyway. Enough about that. Let's talk about the Broncos some more.
Let's
Sorry.
talk about the Broncos. So, I think that the best way that we can approach this, because you and I we just get so excited, we have so much to say, and it just kind of becomes word vomit on this podcast. It doesn't seem like anyone really minds, but this is one where I feel like there's so much to talk about, so we got to kind of be organized. I think we should kind of break this up into quarters 1 through 3 and quarter 4.
Okay.
So let's just kind of, because to me it seemed like two different even football teams out there. So let's just kind of start with the first
Yeah.
3 quarters. I mean, my initial thoughts are the thing that stands out to me is this reminds me a lot of the game against the Raiders last year, where the Raiders go up by 10. I think Pat Surtain has that interception to kind of drive the momentum back. That game was a little bit harder fought all 4 quarters. However, just the kind of disappointment, I guess, you get when, man, I was shocked. I was shocked when the Giants were able to come up, I can't think of it, the exact score, but 2 touches. Obviously, they missed the extra point. I mean,
13. Yeah.
right, 13. So I was really shocked by that. But what really shocked me more than anything was, once again, and I feel like I said this last week, what is going on with the offense? Where is the spark?
Yeah.
I've heard, we've talked about kind of the Broncos country's reactions to what could be going on, and I think you and I have both ruled out Bo. I don't think Bo is the problem. I don't even think he was the problem today, even though he didn't necessarily look great, and we'll talk about that. But man, one thing that I'm really seeing more of today, the play calling is just not up to par. It doesn't match, maybe, I don't know if it doesn't necessarily match the personnel. Like, for instance, we're running all these screenplays, but we don't have the kind of receivers who are just even physically able to block in such a way that I think would make that kind of play design so effective. You know what I mean? Things like that stick out, and it really contributes to, we're not getting a lot of momentum. We're not getting a lot of spark. We look very basic, I think, in the play calling, honestly.
Okay. I feel like the wide receivers block pretty well. Now, I did see, I think Franklin, it's weird because I remember seeing Franklin have a really good block on one, and then he got whiffed on another. At the same time, I think the bodies are big enough. Court for sure.
Yes, Court is big.
Mims is a smaller guy, but he's usually the guy that they're screening to, or he's not out there. I think a lot of that is, and there have been plays in their defense where they have timed and executed the blocks well. I think it's a hard play to accomplish, to execute sometimes, and they just run so many of them that we see ones that are executed well and ones that get blown up. But what I think happened today is, and we've seen this before, where a defensive coordinator just says, "Okay, not today, Sean. We're going after your screen pass."
Right.
And then Sean keeps running them, and
Yes.
and this is what
Sean
happens.
Is very stubborn.
Yeah, and we talked about the 4th down call. Okay, I do want to do, just so I don't forget, and we're talking about the first 3 quarters. I'm on point with that, but I do want to shout out to the special teams. They had a good game. They made their kicks. They covered pretty well. The returns were okay. But basically, the other team had the mistakes with the missed extra points, and that was the difference. So we'll check the special teams box for 1 week, which is nice. Offensively, I'm in a lot of agreement with you, and I think that it's not only this game, but this is an issue we've seen. This reminded me a lot of the Philadelphia game this year. It reminded me a lot of the game in London last week at times. Really, only, I would say, the last few weeks, the Cincinnati game, we ran a good offense all 4 quarters, to my recollection. We scored, 28 points, could have scored more. But that was a beaten Cincinnati team.
Right.
The Bengals are playing a lot better now than they were then. Okay, that team they were maybe the worst team in the league at that time. Their defense did not have a pulse. So I feel like, and I feel like I've been very patient, and I've always stressed, well, it's only week 3, week 4. Okay,
Well,
well, it's
now
week
it's week
7 now.
6. Right, week 7. You're right.
Yeah, well, 7, and I also feel like Sean kind of plays the long game, and what I mean by that is, if you remember with Bo last year, his rookie year, Sean just kind of threw him out there, and this is what we're doing, and you just need to figure it out. Like, I feel like he keeps, and this is good in a lot of ways. He's always pushing it. He's always pushing his players to always try to do better, right? Which is a great concept, a great teaching concept, of course. The thing is, it's not always the long term. You have to win in the short term as well. And what I'm getting at is, because this was another very typical routine game of, we had the obligatory burnt timeout in the first half because we couldn't
Yeah,
get the
right.
play call in the same
Yep.
time. Okay, we had the penalties. Now I do think, I don't have the data right in front of me, but I do think there were more defensive penalties this week. There wasn't as many illegal pre-snap procedure penalties on the offense as normal, but there were still some. What I'm getting at is this, okay? And I think I think we're both going to have this conversation about the offense. Is, whatever happened in this game, and it's a great thing that they won, and we're going to get back to talking about that, of course. But they were fortunate to get the win this time, because this is not sustainable, okay? And they need to. And this, I feel like this goes back to the Russ days, okay? If you recall, we would win games like this because we were a bad offense for 3 quarters. The defense would keep us in it, and then, okay, well, we'll just let Russ play,
Right.
hero ball, and we'd come up with some of those hero wins. Okay, well, really, but see, after that season, we were like, oh, well, that was because Russ couldn't, go through the progressions, and that was a Russ thing. Well, I kind of feel like it's a Broncos thing. I kind of feel like this Broncos offense has been similar since Sean arrived, in
Yes.
that he's trying to out scheme, and he's playing the chess game, okay? Sean lives for the chess game. He wants to call this matchup against this guy, and that's great, okay? That's a big part of the game, and Sean is great at it. But the price we're paying for that is, we're not letting the players play. They're not letting them get into their rhythm, into their
Yes.
timing. And Bo is that kind of player. Dobbins is that kind of player. And something has to change. They need to merge what happened in these first 3 quarters, and what happened in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying they need to run a hurry up offense, from the first snap, but I'm saying Sean needs to make an adjustment soon
Yes. I
to
think
get this
you
offense clicking earlier.
Yes, I think you totally hit the nail on the head. And that's kind of what I meant by, like, the play calling isn't reflective of what the offense actually has to offer. I think you said it, even all the way back to the Russ days. We always played our very best football at the end of the half and at the end of the game. You know what I mean? In a very quick 2-minute drill, we got to get this done. We're just, maybe going to call a
Yeah.
few plays ahead of time, but realistically, what we're going to do is just snap the ball, trust in our offensive line, and try and see if we can get some action. And lo and behold, I think the whole fourth quarter, because realistically, we were playing the hurry up game the whole time. When you're down by that many points, you have to. And go figure, the best football is being played then. And it doesn't, it kind of seems like backwards, right? You think you would play the best football in the reps that you practice and the plays that you memorize. But for a player like Bo, who even back to his college days has always had so much success in motion, when he's scrambling, running in and outside of the pocket, hitting, receivers downfield, even though that's not necessarily what the play design was for, that is where he's been playing his best, and that's where he's been connecting with receivers the most. We see drop balls on screen passes. We see drop balls on plays that are obviously designed to be quick, and So I think you're so right. Like, I don't know if Sean's offense accounts necessarily for Bo's maybe not youth is the right word, but his just ability to be a playmaker. I think maybe like they're kind of boxing. The offense is a little bit too boxed in at the time. You know what I mean? And I think that's evident in just the plays that we're running. Like this, some of these screenplays, a quick just little pass to the right or to the left to the sidelines, those are designed that way. Why are they designed that way? And why do we stick to them? Why is that our first read? You know, those got time in the pocket. We still do have a great offensive line, albeit the problems that they've had. So what is this trend of just not letting plays totally develop all the way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I hate to keep harping on screen passes, but the screen game is important, and Sean is overall, I would say he's good at it. And there are some things like, oh my gosh, that Adkins play that was a touch. Remember the touchdown in London, the only touchdown of the whole game.
Yes.
So I saw an analysis of it, and so they were faking a screen, and in which he would have been the blocker. Okay, and I remember seeing Bo do the pump fake, but they were literally faking a screen, and then so they pump fake it, and then Atkins ends up wide open, like you almost never see anybody, right? And so you see the screen game bearing fruit in that play because he screens so much, and then they buy it, and okay. So it's not that he needs to just do away with it. It's a big part of his offense. It should be a big part of every NFL offense. But I just feel like it's kind of overkill. And literally, at some point, you got to say, what about the hits these guys are taking? You know, and the Giants were pounding the receivers today, and so and also, okay, so that's an extension of the running game, right? And it is, but at the same time, it's not the same effect as just lining up and smashing into those guys and running behind the big guys. You know, there's a lot to be said for that, and. So, again, and I just feel, and it's funny because if you remember, Sean, on at least one occasion after the rush year, he talked about how it wasn't sustainable, right? This is you can't win like this. It's not sustainable. Well, okay, you're right. It's not sustainable. We can't just make hero comebacks all the time, but we need to do something in the earlier parts of the game so that we don't have to make these hero comebacks. You know, I mean, this is another game. This is very much like the Jets game. All due respect to the Giants and the Jets for that matter, but this is a game that if you just execute on offense, you could put it away in the second half.
Yeah.
You know, this defense is best in the league right now. Okay, period. I don't care. You know, if you disagree, tell me why in the chat. Fine, but this defense is lights out. You don't need to put up 30. You don't need to put up 33 in the fourth quarter. Right. You could have won this game with 24 points if you just would have gotten 14 in the first half.
Yep.
Probably.
And
you know.
Speaking of the chat, Eureka has chimed in. He says, "Unbelievable. Happy for you too." Thank you, Eureka. He was in the chat last week as well. Unbelievable. That's the perfect way to put it. I think. Man, it's really maybe frustrating or just like, dang, what's going on? Like, why isn't this offense clicking? I was thinking today, going into the half, I'm just waiting for us to really, truly beat a team 100% of the way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that we don't have to get on here and say, oh, there's some good and there's some bad and we're going to talk about it all. I just want to see us play the football that, man, we're 5-2. And you think that the football that we've been playing would reflect that, but that's not necessarily the case. And you're so right. You got to play all 4 quarters. Otherwise, you're not going to beat Kansas City. You're definitely not going to go into the playoffs in the AFC and beat the 1 seed or the 2 seed. If you're not going to become even the 1 seed or the 2 seed if you're not playing all 4 quarters. So it really is annoying. Not to harp on Sean too much, but I think this is a Sean thing, and it's a personnel thing. I don't understand why there has to be so much movement in the running back position. If Dobbins is having a day, let Dobbins have a day. I know you want to get the young kid reps. I understand that there's something to be said about using 1 or 2, maybe even 3 different running backs in one game. But man, I feel like that's part of the reason that's one of the reasons why our run game has been
Yeah.
halted. We haven't really had an explosive, like dominating the line of scrimmage type game where, you know, it's halfway through the fourth
Oh,
and you can really just start to grind this out.
I think Cincinnati we did that in
Certainly.
Cincinnati. I think there were games where we ran the ball pretty well, but no, you're 100% right. Typically, one of the two guys is in there for one or two carries, and they flip them out, and then they may not even run either of them. They might do a screen pass anyway, right? But
Yep.
yeah, those I feel like um, that and look, Sean is look he understands offense and X's and O's better than most people in the history of this game. Okay, his resume speaks for itself. So I'm not the guy saying, well, Sean needs to not be calling the plays. I mean, that might be the case, but I'm not going to say that I know that it is the case. Okay,
Right.
but I do think that after today, as fans, we can have the opinion that something has to change now. They
Yeah.
had to make some adjustments here, whatever it is. I don't know. We're kind of spitballing what we see and what we think, but something has to change because we can't just, you know, expect to win games like this. We need to be more productive on offense earlier in the game. And Bo's been playing well. I'll tell you what, if you look at this game and the Eagles game, what quarterback has a couple of fourth quarters like that this year other than Bo?
Yeah.
He's been money,
Yep.
absolute money, but every throw he's had pretty much in the fourth quarter of those games, win the games on the line.
Yep.
So and really, even when the offense is struggling, he's executing. He's doing what he's supposed to do. It's just
He's not
you're
throwing
not.
picks.
Ah,
You're
yeah. He's taking the sacks when he's supposed to. He's getting rid of the ball when he's supposed to. He's throwing those screen passes accurately. I mean, he'll miss some throws, yes, but all quarterbacks miss some. I mean, he's playing fine.
right.
I'm not saying he's all pro, but there's no reason to have higher expectations of Bo right now than who he is.
I
Okay,
think I agree.
and there's
If there's only one
you know
thing that I would be a
um,
little bit concerned with Bo, though, and I think this was actually such a big part of the game today, was what is going on with these deflected balls. I don't know if
yeah.
he's a big guy. It's not like
Hmm.
is not, because we sometimes had this
Yeah.
issue with Russ. Like Russ literally couldn't see over the offensive line at times. Russ was small, but
Yeah.
Bo's big, and I
Yes.
wonder if, and I'm not a quarterbacks coach, and I haven't had a lot of time like really up there to see how that looks just at an eye level. We're only seeing it obviously from the network level, but I wonder
Right.
if that just has to do, maybe he's throwing a little bit too flat. We've had a few deflected balls this year, and the Giants clearly were ready for it. Like even just in the way that their offensive
Right.
linemen were having their hands up at the exact right time. They totally have been
Yes.
prepping for
Yes.
that all week. So kudos to the Giants there.
Yes.
But that was, I mean, there were like 5 or 6 deflected balls today, and I was just thinking, what in the
Good.
world?
Right. No, great point. And this has happened. I don't think it happened so much this year, but one or two games of last year, I think the Raiders had a lot of deflections. And I think you're 100% right. I think that was in the Giants' game plan this week. And I think that's a thing where they're probably saying, okay, Bo knows how to not take sacks. We're not likely to get the sack anyway. So we'll go ahead and sacrifice a little and just wait and then time that jump. It's just
Right.
strategy. And I believe that why I think you're right is because I don't know that it's happened to him 3 or 4 games in a row before today, and yet it happened 3 or 4 or 5 times today. So it happens in spurts. So I think that's why some teams have been defending him. So and so that's, hey, you just counter adjust. Now one thing about Bo is he does throw low trajectory balls, and I like it most of the time. Actually, I don't like it when they're getting deflected. But a lot of those passes, even some of the intermediate and deep passes, he just kind of throws on a low trajectory, and they get there a little faster. They have a little zip, and they don't hang, right? So that's his style, and that is a thing for sure. It's a thing that that they need to work on. But like you mentioned, hey, those defenders get paid too, and that was that was certainly I think 100% it was their strategy today, and they did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
And so so the Broncos go back. I'm sure they'll be working on that. So can we go ahead and move past the first three quarters,
Yeah,
or
I
did
was
we
going
get
to
through
say, I
that?
think we've kind of covered everything. I guess just the one last thing that we should kind of talk about, this is at the end of the third, is just the decision, the play calling decision there at you know, to in the red zone. Do you know what I'm talking? You remember that? The turnover on
The fourth
downs?
down?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I thought, well, in the game situation, right? Okay, so we're not moving the line of scrimmage,
Hmm.
okay? We talked about this on two pointers, right? If you're moving the line of scrimmage, it's a better decision to go for two because now the team knows you might run. Now you
Hmm.
can run play action effectively. Or maybe,
Hmm.
we're not doing that. I think it was at the three. So I think that's a factor. I think the score is a factor. We're down 13-0, so a field goal makes it a 10-point game,
Hmm.
which I think is a big difference from a 13-point game.
Right.
And I think, no, look, if they would have run a play that was wide open, okay, fine, you're right. But it wasn't. The Giants looked like they were expecting it, and
Yeah.
they
Also,
you
just
know
you're at the two. Why are you not running the ball? I mean, maybe this is just, I'm a little bit too caught up in maybe my brain from football even 5 to 7 years ago. But in that situation, a full set of downs at the two, you run the rock 3 times.
I think they might have. I don't think they had like a first down from the two. I think they started out like the 8 or the 9 or something on that drive.
I
I think
thought
they had
because,
first and goal from the 9. I
but I
could be wrong.
thought they
I'm
had
not
the,
sure.
you could be right, but I thought it was like J.K. Dobbins had like we did run the ball with him once on first down for like 3 or 4 yards. Then we end up at the
That
two,
sounds
and
right.
there's two
Yeah,
incomplete passes, and then finally he hits
that
Sutton,
might.
but it's just
Yeah,
short.
yeah. They probably could have run the ball. Yeah.
But that
Again,
just kind of is a reflection of the play calling stuff that we kind of have already
the
talked
play
about.
calling in general.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we've already spent 30 minutes talking about the bad side of this
One
game. Yes, go ahead.
one more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing, and this would have been so cool, but it didn't. I think this might have actually been on that possession. They ran a tackle eligible to Bowles, and it got
Bowles.
tipped.
I know.
Remember?
That was one of the
Yes.
incomplete passes. Man, he was wide open. And I remember before
Yes.
the play even happened,
Yes.
you can hear over the intercom, 72 has reported
Tackle.
eligible. And I'm
Yes.
thinking,
Yes.
interesting. Like, it could just be, we're at
Oh.
the two. They might be thinking he's going to be
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
blocking
Yeah.
for somebody.
Right.
But it
Mhm.
obviously, that something went off in my mind. And then he's wide open. And I'm just like,
I
oh
know,
gosh,
and
that would have
he
been so
still made a
cool.
good effort.
He
He
did.
still made
Yeah.
a great effort for the
Flinging his
man.
arms in
That
the
would have
air.
really made my day to see. I hope that. Yeah. So anyway, that's our Bulls moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
So the fourth
let's.
quarter. Yes, let's do it.
Yes. Was it like 18-0 at the beginning of the fourth quarter? It was
I think it
13,
was 19 to
19.
8
Yeah.
at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
19-0.
Was it? I think we got the touchdown at the end of the. No, you're right. It was the
Nope.
first
It was the
drive of the
beginning of the
fourth.
fourth. Like
Yep,
1 minute. Yep.
you're
Yep.
right.
So yeah, we were driving at the beginning of the fourth quarter. We were close to the end zone, and we scored. How did we score the first one? I don't even remember.
It was the touchdown to Franklin. It was real short. It's just like a 2 yard throw. Remember?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
he
Okay.
just runs like a little out route. It's pretty simple. We drove all
Yes.
the way down to the two,
Yeah,
and then it was the 2 point
that's right.
conversion
It
to
wasn't.
Cortland Sutton.
Was there a big play to Mims to the two or something,
There was like we actually had
or was it a
like a
PI?
32-yard rush, a 32-yard rushing play from J.K. Dobbins that kind of set us up. Do you remember that? Like
That's
he just
right.
ran it
Oh,
right
and
at the
Mims had
gut and the
no.
offensive line.
Yeah, Mims had a big catch. I think in the first play of that drive. I could be wrong, but Mims had a money catch on that last drive. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and then Mims had a touchdown catch. That was really good. Yeah,
But
that's right.
yeah,
Mims.
Mims has
Oh,
become a
wait,
cornerstone
was
of this
Mims?
offense, and we kind of
I
knew
could
that he
be
was
off on
gonna.
this.
But it's really cool when I mean, he's just very dynamic, and he's all over the field, and he can catch balls, and he can return balls, and he can do everything you need him to do.
Had some good
I
runs today too.
Yeah, he's I really appreciate how they've been using him. Yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah,
Actually, I think some of the only screen passes today that were successful were Mims plays. So
right.
big, big. I think
Yep.
really when it got just when I was watching the fourth quarter, even about 5 minutes left, right? I'm thinking, all right, still down to at least two scores. And man, I'm still defeated. Literally up until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I'm pissed off. I'm like, what's going on? Like, how did we get into this
Yeah.
situation? And I'm just thinking in my head, I think every football fan kind of does this when you're down, trying to think, all right, where are we at? How long is it going to take for us to do
Yeah.
this? What are we going to have to hold
Hmm.
them to? How many timeouts? All the situational stuff. And it was a minute chance that we even came out with the win. And the one thing that I didn't even consider is how important an interception would be at that specific time.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Justin Stranad makes the play, and everything is
Yeah.
just and the rest is history. That's why I say it's so similar to the Raiders game last year because, who knows
Yeah.
when he gets that pick, that's literally an extra drive that you now do not have to be concerned with time
Oh
wise
yeah.
because you're already
Yeah.
halfway down the field. You know.
Yeah. So for me, I was thinking when we were driving at the end of the third, and then we punched in at the beginning of the fourth. I was thinking, okay, we got some momentum. Okay, we got plenty of time. We really because we only needed 11 more points, right? Because it was 19-0. We got the touchdown and went for two. So then it was 19. It was an 11-point game. So with a 2-pointer, it's a touchdown on the field,
Right.
and it was 14 minutes left. I was like, okay, this is okay. Finally, we showed up. We scored, right? So
Right.
this will be a ball game. Well, and then the Giants. Oh, and they had a questionable call that helped them on this drive. I'm not going to remember it, but it bothered me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the Giants are driving, and they get that crazy play. And granted, we had one go our way too with a tip ball, but this, I mean,
This was just
it's a
ridiculous. I mean,
perfect.
it bounces right
Yes,
to the other guy.
third. We get him. We get him the third and long. We deflect the pass, and it goes right to a guy that nobody else can get to, and it's a
Right.
score. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Ah,
now
yeah.
it's a 3-score game again, you know.
Right.
And then, but the Broncos would score, and then they would get the Stranad play, which kind of, that Stranad play was huge. That was,
My heart
like
was
you say,
beating. Boom, 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 boom.
yeah, yeah. I think it's similar to the PS2 play against the Raiders, although the PS2 play, and I think part of the reason is because it was the Raiders. It was still early in the game. I think the Raiders were up like 10-0 and driving
Yes.
when that happened. But when that play happened, in my mind, that was pretty much game over. And I just thought, okay, now the Raiders had their fun. They
Right.
but and that's what it was. The Broncos were better, and they kicked their butt from then on. But the Stranad play was similar to that, although the Giants weren't going anywhere. They were going to hang around, and I don't know. And then to get all those points that we needed, and yet the Giants, there's 2 points. There's 2 minutes left. And by the way, that was a great play call. You mentioned Sean not using next to his athleticism, and I agree with you for the most part. But I think that play with Bo on that
To
20-yard
the end
touchdown, that
zone?
was a good
Yeah,
call.
I agree. And it was so
Yes.
clearly designed that way, too. I could really appreciate that one.
Right. And perfect blocking on that one. I think Court sealed the inside, and then a couple of the offensive linemen took guys out. That was a well executed play. But gosh, and I'm trying to say so. Knicks gets that touchdown. There's like 2 minutes left. All we need to do is stop them from a touchdown.
Right.
And I just really liked our chances there. Because everything was working out. We got the 4 and the guys on the TV. Oh, the field goal kicker's warming up. I'm like, no, the Broncos are thinking touchdown here.
Right.
They don't want to tie this thing when they have a chance to win it. And sure enough, they score. It was, like I say, brilliant play call, and it worked. But you left the Giants with like a minute 45. But
And
I'm not.
they
I'm
got
still.
bailed
I'm
out
not.
twice in a row. I mean, not twice in a row, but they got two really
Yeah.
big calls on that final drive. You already mentioned
Yes.
that you didn't agree with the DPI. I'm gonna have to see that one again, and we'll check and see what Twitterverse says. Just at a first glance, it did look okay to me,
But we
but
don't
they
care what
did get
Twitterverse
bailed
says.
out. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But so and we genuinely, I mean, gosh, you had him stopped twice on third and long, and just two penalties. That's just
Yeah.
it's so annoying. Even if it was totally right, it was a good call.
Yeah.
It's just. But then, of course, our boy Mick Antamini, I don't know the kicker's name, but he comes in clutch. That's something that we actually haven't discussed, how important it was that that guy missed 2 extra points.
Oh yeah, no doubt. One of them barely to the left, one barely to the right. Shout out to him.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Speaking of shout out to him, remember when Jonathan Cooper after
Oh,
the Colts
yes.
fumble?
Yeah. Shout out to
Shout out
him.
to him. Yeah, I wanted to bring up. I know you mentioned this. You texted about this, and you're right. The bulletin board material.
Oh,
I did
gosh.
you see the Jonathan Cooper? Did you see the Jonathan Cooper interview?
So I didn't see it. I saw they actually
Okay.
transcribed this on the broadcast, which I'd never seen before. Exactly what he said, and I was like, "That's a little bit crazy."
Yeah.
But tell me, give it to me.
So he did say what they said, but here's the thing about it. When you read something, you hear it in your mind, it's so much more accurate to actually see it and hear it, right? And you know how Cooper is. He's just kind of mellow, and he did say those things, but it wasn't like he was ridiculing him. He's just kind of saying, yeah, he wasn't. I don't think. Okay, now did he need to say it? No, of course not. You can just say there's a reason why these players usually say things that are boring and vanilla is because it's safe. You're supposed to say, yeah, no, he's great. He's having a great year. He's really excited. You just say the vanilla stuff is the right thing to say, but he chose to be a little bit more I don't know, detailed or honest, and he said, yeah, he's wearing the chain, he's feeling himself, and yeah, people got to do whatever, but it wasn't like he was mocking him. That's not what I got from it. And yet, so they post it, and then they put it out there, and then the Twitterverse or whatever, the internet gets a hold of it. And then I don't know, I didn't hear a lot. I did read what Bonino tweeted about the New York fan base being delusional. Now that's, he did. He deleted it right away, but you just shouldn't have done it in the first place. You don't do that. This is football 101. Why give them locker room material? It's just, why? Just go out there and play. Go out there and kick their butt. That's all. That's all you got to do.
That was so funny, though. I agree with you. I agree with you, but I can still appreciate the
And we
laugh that I
love
got from it.
Bonito.
Yeah.
We love Bonito, okay? But come on, man. And these guys are still young, too. And by the way, it's not, we also have to remember how Sean is at times. And Sean says things he doesn't need to say. Well, he's the boss, And so you can't be too mad at him.
Right.
Without being mad at Sean. I don't know, but hopefully, lesson learned. Again, we got the dub today, okay? We got the W. The alumni that were there, Demarius's parents that were there, everybody got the dub, okay? And there are lessons for the Broncos to get here. We talked about the offense. It's time. It's time to make some change, to do something different, right? Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, Sean likes to he works for the long term, so they're trying to build something and all that. But hey, you're not going to stop trying to build, but maybe just trim down the terminology by a couple words here and there, or whatever it takes to avoid that timeout. Yes. Just do something. Right. And then have a talk about this locker room stuff. I mean, hey, I honestly think, and this would never fly because I'm just an old school idiot, but I think it should just don't even be on the social media. Right. At least during the season, maybe in the off season, but that should just be the norm. Hang out with your boys, go, but just stay off. This only bad happens when these players get on the social media. What
Right.
good has ever happened?
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. We're probably going to wrap up here pretty soon. But I want to talk about the last drive, the field goal winning drive that we had, because I actually feel like that drive alone said a lot about not necessarily the offense, but just the kind of players that we have. First of all, first point.
Yeah.
What have we heard about Bo the last 3 weeks that he can't do?
Oh gosh, what's the latest with him?
I think the most one that I've seen the most. Oh, he can't throw the deep ball, or he overthrows the deep ball.
Yeah.
And then of course we have 2 huge deep ball plays over 25 yards in the air that set us up in perfect position to have the field goal.
Money.
So I don't. Bo, when it comes down to it, he gets it done, and that's what that showed me. Another thing that I haven't seen anyone talk about yet was actually this goes to the drive before, so I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but I want to give a little shout out to Evan Ingram. If you recall, we run a play with a second left before the 2-minute warning, and this is just pure football awareness by this guy. To not get out of bounds, even though he would have already had the first, but he doesn't get out of bounds. He gets back up and he blocks and he runs for another 6 or 7 yards. That puts us in much better position.
Or maybe more than that.
I don't remember exactly.
And by the way,
go ahead.
Yeah, and you still stop the clock because it's 2-minute warning.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It even seems like when you rewatch the route, it seems like he almost hesitates for a second, like he's about to go out of bounds, but then he remembers, this is the last play before the 2-minute warning. I actually got some liberty here. And then lo and behold, clock is over, and that's just like an extra cha-ching, extra 10, 11 yards, however much it was.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. That was a heads-up play. And, again, and by the way, we haven't mentioned this. How about Dre Greenlaw out there, number 57?
Yes! Dre Greenlaw was such a great asset, and he made his presence known early on, although we didn't hear too much from him the rest of the game, but he did. Yeah, he had a good. Also, just this is minor. We're just the last 2 drives, but with like 1 minute and 15 seconds left, Giants are driving. This is their touchdown drive, but they actually end up taking a delay of game penalty because it was so loud. You can see the offensive line and the receivers looking at Jackson Dart like, we don't even know what the play is, dude. So big.
They had one on the last possession too, if I recall.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So,
but I think they had 2 total. I think they had one on both of each possession.
Yes, you're right.
They took 2. Yeah.
Yes.
No. The Mile High, the stadium was a factor.
Yes, and man, that final incomplete was just powerful. Incomplete. It was so good, so great to see Broncos country getting involved. I know Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo have all this hype, and they don't get me wrong, they play a good game, especially because they don't have any other offensive weapons, as we saw today. But there is something to be said. I don't care how good you play. You've only won 1 game on the road, and it wasn't in Denver. And here you are, games on the line, and Denver country shows up. So, or Broncos country shows up. So that's just my minor little yes, you know what I mean? Like that's how we kind of contribute that way.
Yeah.
But I think that final drive was just perfect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Are you kidding me? It reminded me, and I hate to bring up the Chiefs because we hadn't even talked about them yet.
I thought we were going to get through one show without talking about the Chiefs.
We can't have that. But do you remember, I want to say it was an AFC Championship game against Buffalo where they get the ball with 22 seconds and I think they had a timeout, but they do a pass to Kelsey and then a pass to Tyreek or whatever, and then a field goal. It was, at the end of the day, and again, this goes back to the theme of, Sean needs to watch our podcast, okay? No, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the players that make the plays.
Right.
Bo makes great throws to one to Mims, one to Court.
Right.
And actually the one to Mims was maybe more just a great catch. He kind of threw it in the middle, and it might have even been the Court there. It doesn't matter. He was where a Bronco was and where a defender wasn't. And Mims makes a great tough play, and then Court, just Court being Court, and that's what the game boils down to. You can, and you have to do the game planning and the scheming But when you're doing that, you're setting up your playmakers to make the plays. They have to do
Right.
it, you know.
You
And
have to remember, sometimes I wonder if we're trying to fit Bo into Sean Payton's offense a little bit more than how we're trying to fit the
yes,
offense to Bo. And there has to
yes,
be a balance because otherwise, what's the point of
yes,
bringing in somebody like Sean Payton? I totally am with you. Have so much respect for Sean and his offensive mind. And I think he is genuinely, there's not a team in the NFL that Bo would be doing better with than the Broncos. I do believe that. However, I also think that two things can be true at once. And Sean has a record of being a little, or he has a history of being a little stubborn. And I think if that lever can move just a little bit to the other side in
hmm,
terms of letting
yeah,
Bo kind of develop on his own, just on his own in the
yeah,
pocket and out there, that would be so big. And we've seen, I mean, gosh, we've seen him play in 25 regular season games now. So we know when he has
yeah,
success the most. And the reality is, the trend is when it's up to him to make the play,
yep,
he makes it, you know? So,
yep. And you want that, right? What we want is for them to be working together throughout the course of the game and having success. And then when it does come down to the wire, you want Bo being Bo like he already is. Of course, he'll even get better, right? But in those earlier stages in the game, there needs to be more continuity and more rhythm, you know. And hey, again, we got the win.
right.
And we got the win. So because this isn't lost on them. I mean, I did see some of Sean's presser, and he wasn't saying the things we're saying, but he was saying, yeah. And there were some drop balls today too, by the way. Three
That's
or
true.
four very catchable balls
I
that
was
were
just thinking
dropped.
of
So
that.
there's a lot of things they need to work on. I mean, these penalties are not acceptable. You
Right.
know, the amount of penalties the Broncos are having,
Into
you
week
know,
7.
and yeah, we need to clean that up. I mean, honestly, and you could make the argument, and some Bronco fans would say this, oh my gosh, we're so close to being 7-0 if you don't call that leverage thing, you know, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
If, if,
Well,
if, if.
we could also be, 2-5 if something, I honestly think when we were 1-2, I thought, man, yeah, that was tough, right? But now that we're 5-2, I feel kind of grateful that we're 5-2 because we've had ones we could have lost to, and it's against teams that aren't that good. So, and the Chiefs are being the Chiefs. The Chiefs
Yeah.
have looked like the Chiefs for the last couple of weeks, 2, 3
Yep.
weeks maybe. So,
Yep.
you know,
That actually segues perfectly into what Eurico has said in the chat. He gave us a question. He says, is this team getting ready to battle the Chiefs or just getting lucky? New York teams aren't a good barometer.
fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, hey, it's work in progress. Look, this is still week 7. If we struggle again against the Cowboys, if we don't show some improvement next week, I will be concerned. I really will, and I'll do respect to the Cowboys. But if we stink it up for 2 or 3 quarters again on offense, yeah, there's no more margin for error in my mind. We know we have a team that'll fight at the end. Hey, that's great. You need that, sure. But we need a team that plays 4 quarters as well. And,
Yep.
yeah, good question. I don't know. How would you feel if we had to play the Chiefs next week?
Well, I do think it's a really good question, and I think it kind of is a culmination of everything that we've kind of been talking about today. It seems clear to me now that we're week through 7 that we have all the pieces. We're not inept in any position. I do believe that, or in any side of the ball. It's just about finding the perfect balance of play calling to get the fullest, just to bring out the very best in these players. You know what I mean? Getting the perfect amount of play calling or the perfect whatever it is. I don't know. The formula has to be right to allow these players to do what they do best, especially Bo. I think all of this actually has to do with Bo. Put him in a position where he can do what he does best while Sean still gets to play his checkers and chess game, because the Chiefs are going to be a team, when we play them later this season especially, that's where I think everything has to click. Yes, Bo's going to have to play to the best, to his best ability. He can't have any mistakes. We can't be having 45 yards of penalties. That's just not going to fly. You're not going to beat anybody I mean, you might beat those New York teams, but you're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who, like you just said, are looking like the Kansas City Chiefs. That's when it's not just enough for Bo to be good enough. It also has to do with Sean cooking up the exact right play at the exact right time to make sure that we're ahead and that we're battling all 4 quarters. Do you know what I mean? Like right now, we're getting away with it with either the play calling not being ideal
Yeah.
or the performance of our offense not being ideal. Either or. And we're getting away with it because we have a last place, or we have an easy first 7 weeks, I think, objectively. But that's not going to fly with the Chiefs or with anybody else who's going to be a contender in the AFC, especially in the AFC West. We still got to play the Chargers. Haven't even played the Raiders, although they look abysmal. But we haven't played the Chiefs. So this is absolutely a team that needs to beat the Chiefs. You and I, Dad, we've talked about this so much that we actually think we're the only team that might actually be capable of dethroning the Chiefs. But we're not going to do it if we're not playing all 4 quarters of football. Do you know what I mean? And I think the only way that we're going to start playing all 4 quarters of football is if the play calling changes and is more reflective of the young kind of raw, how do you, like, how much of this league,
Energy.
Yes, energy, how much of this, what makes all these teams that win Super Bowls or the Chiefs or the Eagles, the Ravens, what are they really, really good at? Well, they're really, really good at explosive plays that aren't necessarily designed that way. You know what I mean? So as soon as we get footing there, I think we're golden.
Yeah, and I think, Bo, we know Bo's capable of that, and he's done it at times. I just think we need more smoothness, even pre-snap, right? Just getting the plays in, and then more rhythm, play in and play out. I really feel like not having a little tempo, and I will say, and I wasn't going to bring this up because it worked out, but I kind of felt like there wasn't, when we were down by 18, I kind of thought there should have been more urgency getting back to the line and getting the plays in.
I agree. Even with 9 minutes left.
Yeah, I just think Sean is that way. He's very deliberate and concise about the details, but not to say that the details aren't important, but you need to have sense of urgency at times too. And I think in the early stages of the game, maybe not a sense of urgency, but a sense of rhythm and letting your players play, not just, okay, run this play and then stop and stand around for a while. And then, I don't know.
Right.
And I think you brought this up. It's because of who Bo is too. He thrives like that. He's better if he's in a rhythm. He's going to execute the plays that you designed better if he's flowing, as opposed to just stopping and going.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but there's still a work in progress. We still got the dub, and it would have been a much tougher conversation if we would have covered the same things, except we would have had a 4-3 team that the Chiefs are now would have been tied with.
Right.
The Chiefs are 4-3, right?
Yes, they are.
So yeah, we're, as far as the division, all that stuff goes, we're in good shape. Everything is in front of them. As long as they win those divisional games that they need to win. So, yeah, I mean, that's really, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
What a great, at the end of the day, great win, great team win. That's the kind of thing that they can build on while they work on the things that are, that they're struggling with.
Yep.
So
coaches, you've heard this before, but coaches like when you play bad, when they like an ugly win because it actually gives you some good film to look at. So despite the fact that there wasn't a lot going on the first 3 quarters, hopefully, that shows the Broncos what they need to see. And when I say the Broncos, I mean Sean Payton. So yeah, it was a great win. Although I do feel like, although I'm 20 years old, I did get some gray hair. So hopefully, one of these weeks we can just actually beat a team. When we can enjoy our Sunday morning. Football's actually supposed to bring you joy. It's actually supposed to be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. The game's just designed like this now, unfortunately, and it is. It is an exhilarating experience when, But yeah, what are you gonna do? We sign up for it every week.
Yes, and it's what are we gonna do? Stop watching? Oh my gosh,
No, that's not gonna happen.
Well, anything else we need to cover, Dad, or should we wrap up here?
I think we covered it, kiddo.
I think we did. One
Feeling
last thing,
feeling
very
grateful.
minor, but hopefully McGlinchey is healthy. I don't know. I don't think he ended up
Yeah, well,
coming
he,
back
he
into
got
that
back in
game.
there, I think.
Oh, he did. Okay,
I
good,
think
good.
he came
I
back in.
wasn't
Did
sure if I
I?
saw him
Oh,
again, but
oh, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.
yes, I was just about to say that. Please like, please subscribe. It's been so awesome interacting with you guys live. Thank you, Eureka. This is the second week in a row that you've been here, been square. We really appreciate that kind of
Yes.
stuff. Like, subscribe. We got a lot more exciting stuff. We got cooking up in the crock pot for you guys. So stick around and make sure you hit that notification bell. It's especially important now because when we go live, you don't want to miss it. We love talking with you guys. Love to hear about what you have to say.
Yes.
Thank you once again
So,
for tuning in to Generation Orange. It's been a pleasure, and it's on to the Cowboys. Thank you guys so much for
yeah.
watching, and we will see you.